Douglas parks his car in the driveway of his huge bungalow. He carries a covered painting in his hands and takes it inside the house. Entering the house, he calls out to his family to show them what he just brought in. His wife Claire and his kids Richie and Elizabeth are all called downstairs to witness his marvelous purchase. He takes off the paper cover of the paintings and looks engrossed in them. The first painting is a lion roaring ferociously with mystic creatures and scenery in the background. He looks around and notices that he still doesn't have an audience, so he moves to another room of the house. A room full of people who are busy talking or watching TV. He's really excited to show them his completed collection of the paintings, but none of them seem to notice him. He screams out to his mom and younger brother Henry, who continue talking as if he's invisible to them. He turns to his wife Claire, who is busy going through their bills. He tells her that the bills can wait, and she should check out the fruit of all his efforts. But she also ignores him. Next, he goes to his daughter Elizabeth, who is watching TV. She also doesn't respond to him, which makes him really angry. He yells out that none of them cares about his achievement. He goes to Richie's bedroom to look for him. There's loud music playing in Richie's bedroom, and his girlfriend is on top of him. They're undressing each other on the bed and laughing, oblivious to Douglas' presence in the room. He storms out of there, back to his painting. He is very upset that his family has no respect for the art. He starts talking about his collection of paintings. Each one of them features an animal which signifies one of the 7 deadly sins. These are gluttony, greed, envy, lust, sloth, pride, and wrath. It seems that he can hear the sounds of those animals. The paintings communicate to him through these ominous sounds as he replies to them. They overpower him as he's in confusion until he reaches a decision. He knows that it's time to take the initiative and turns around to face himself in the mirror. To his surprise, his face is covered and his clothes are soaked in blood. He freaks out and calls out to his mom, Henry, and Claire, who all lie dead in the other room. He rushes there to find them murdered brutally in the positions he last saw them in. He whimpers and turns to Elizabeth, who is also deceased. Even Richie and his girlfriend lie lifeless on top of each other, their guts all spilled out on the bed. Douglas is sick to his stomach and goes to the bathroom. There he opens a cabinet and takes out his shotgun, flashing a devious grin. He points it to the paintings, accusing them of driving him to murder his family. He blames each and every one of the paintings for the massacre of his loved ones. He claims that everything is over now and points the shotgun to the painting with the lion. A gust of wind blows, and the gun disappears from his hands. He looks up and finds it inside the painting, which he finds impossible. Soon after, the gun shoots from the painting and ends Douglas. He falls to the floor with blood spurting out of his mouth. All that can be heard are the growls of the lion. The lion painting is next seen in an exhibition being presented to a room full of people. A blonde lady named Tess Berriman presents it to the audience along with its other counterparts. She tells the audience that these masterpieces are from a collection painted by Dorian Wilder in 1891. This was his last work before he disappeared mysteriously. But his amazing work speaks for itself as a woman in the audience, Gina Wilson, eyes it earnestly. Tess introduces the collection under the name of The Analyst, after which people start to ask her questions. Gina's husband, Dylan Wilson, is sitting beside her and asks for her opinion on this collection, because she's a well-known animal lover. He jokes that the goats on her farm must also look like the ones erotically painted on one of the paintings. Gina snarkily accuses him of being jealous, after which he admits that he can't compete with her love for animals. Meanwhile, another man from the audience inquires Tess about whether bids can be placed on individual pieces instead of the whole collection. Tess declines this proposition, as it has taken her years to find these paintings and put them all together in one place. Gina's attention turns to the other paintings, where one frog eyes the other enviously from the pond. Tess starts the bidding with an amount of $200,000. People are placing their bids, while Gina considers the possibility of buying the collection. She is worried about where she will keep all of these 7 paintings if she makes the purchase. Dylan reminds her that they have a huge room where these paintings could be kept. The bidding process is about to end when Dylan leaves the decision to Gina. It's her call because she is an interior designer. All he claims to be is a mere lonely architect. Gina laughs at this because he has 4 kids from 2 marriages, so he surely can't be that lonely. The paintings are about to be sold when Gina comes to the conclusion that they should be bought because it's for a good cause. After getting her approval, Dylan raises his hand and places a bid for $500,000. Tess encourages any competing offers, but since there aren't any, the collection is sold to the Wilsons. Dylan and Gina hand over the check to Tess at the end of the evening. Several guests congratulate the Wilsons on acquiring these exotic paintings. Tess is taken away by one of the guests of the evening, and the Wilsons are about to leave when a man walks up to them. He commends them on their purchase and wants to know if they are art collectors. Dylan says no, which leads the man to assume that they're a fan of doing wild things. Dylan admits that he had never heard of Dorian Wilson before until today. On the other hand, the man who has introduced himself as Mendale is quite familiar with how rare these paintings were. He used to have one of these paintings, the one with a snake in the church where he was a priest. It seemed to draw him in and was donated to the church. One of the church's nuns briefs Father Mendale about the snake painting. She is aware that serpents aren't the symbols of God, but are a creation of God nevertheless. She reaches out her hand to the painting and jokes that the snake almost bit her. Once she is gone and Father Mendale is left alone, he stares for a longer time more deeply into the painting. He can almost hear the ferocious hiss of the snake as he backs away from the painting. He runs out of the church all sweaty and out of breath. Out on the street, he sees a man walking up to his girlfriend who had been waiting for him. The man hands his girlfriend some flowers, and she kisses him lovingly. They sit down on the bench close to each other and talk romantically. Father Mendale smiles as he can see himself in the man's place, cozying up to a lovely woman. His gaze shifts to a woman walking on the street while holding her son's hand. The smile on Father Mendale's face grows wider as he envisions being a part of that family as the woman's husband and the son's father. He is in distress once he snaps out of his vision, so he runs to the church where he hides behind a pillar. He feels such self-loathing that he holds the cross dangling from his neck and pierces. He does this because it was his eye through which he sinned. He took an oath to remove everything from his life that made him sin, so he wasted away his right eye. Back in the present, he remembers the whole incident as he stands behind Mr. and Mrs. Wilson as they say their goodbyes to Tess. He contemplates warning them about the snake painting and his experience with it. Dylan and Gina are almost out of the building when Mendale runs back to them. He stops them and requests for them not to hang these paintings in their house. He cannot explain why because it is complicated. Dylan laughs at this and questions what one can do with paintings except for hanging them up. Mendale suggests destroying them for good, which Tess overhears. Mendale goes on about how the Wilsons should get rid of the paintings before the animals fool them. They will never give them happiness, but only disappointment. He even adds that the man who made these paintings was tied up in a lot of things himself and is now deceased. He lost everything because there is darkness and evil attached to these paintings. Too bad that by this time Tess has already called the security against Mendale, so the guards escort him out while Mendale resists because he wants to warn the couple. He keeps preaching his message. As the guards harshly drag him out of the building, Tess rushes to Dylan and Gina and apologizes for the disturbance. She claims to not know the man or where he came from. Gina accepts her apology and Tess informs them that they'll get the paintings in a few days. Tess watches the wealthy couple walk out of the building as they talk about their plans for the paintings. Dylan loved the forest painting more than the others and thinks that it'll be a perfect gift for their son Louis for his visit home from college. Louis drives to his family mansion with his girlfriend Kim. They're talking about his family. He explains to Kim that Susie, who is a high school student, is his younger stepsister. His blood sister is Donna, who is a teenager. Louis and Donna are Dylan's older kids from his first wife. He has 2 other little kids with Gina, his second wife. Kim is surprised to see the enormous estate Louis lives in, as he called it just an apartment before. He even brought her here as a surprise, so she didn't know that she'd be accompanying him to his family home. He leads her in, and she's in marvel of the house. She admits that it'll take her some time to adjust to this house's luxury and enormity. Louis suggests that if she doesn't like mansions, he can keep her in some condos or apartments too. Kim chuckles at his habits, which reflect how rich and spoiled he is, refusing his generous offer. Louis calls out to his dad and Gina to introduce them to his girlfriend. Kim shushes him, instructing him not to disturb his parents as they might have gone to bed. Louis finds this strange as it is only 10 p.m. right now, which isn't their usual bedtime. Kim reminds him that there is no need to wake his parents up, as they can use this privacy to their advantage right now. Louis understands her intentions and starts making out with her. They hear a distant noise that interrupts them, so they think that someone might be up. Louis takes Kim to the kitchen and follows the noise. He swings open the door to the wine cellar and discovers Donna inside in her pajamas. He wonders what she is doing here and starts to give the reasoning for her weird action. Her explanation is that she went upstairs to surprise him, but when she heard that someone else was with him, she hid here, confused about what to do with herself. Louis grins and lets her out, introducing her to Kim. Donna finds her really pretty and believes that she should let them spend some time together. so she takes her leave and rushes back to her room awkwardly. She quickly wishes them welcome and good night before leaving them alone. Kim gives Louis a look which makes him admit that it would have been better to inform his family in advance of Kim's arrival. Kim drags him back inside the cellar to resume their makeout session, and they shut the door behind them. Back at Tess's art gallery, some workers are wrapping up the paintings to send them out to their new owners. They make fun of the gallery being no less than a jungle because of the paintings. One of them mocks how expensive these paintings are when his coworker points out that it takes a certain eye to appreciate art. The worker still doesn't understand what's there to appreciate in this painting of a nasty swine lying in a pool of its own filth. He takes a swig of his beer and gasps when he feels like the eye of the pig moved. He asks his coworker about what he's drinking and grabs his beer too. He drinks from it and chugs down both bottles in no time. He appears to be getting sick too, and his coworker assumes that it's because he ate something bad. Then he grabs a hose and turns the tap on to let the water flow. He keeps swallowing down the water too until it starts to squirt out of his nose. His colleague is concerned due to this behavior and tries to snatch the pipe away from his hands. However, his efforts go in vain as the worker keeps swallowing gallons of water continuously as he falls to his knees on the ground. His tummy starts to blow out like a puffer fish, but he doesn't stop. His colleague is traumatized by the damage he is doing to him, but he keeps guzzling water until his body can't take it anymore, and he bursts his guts out. The worker looks no less than a disgusting pig now too as he lies in his own puddle of entrail. The blood from his body that splattered on the pig painting is absorbed into it automatically. Gina and Dylan are on the terrace with Louis and Kim, while the kids play out on the lawn. Gina wants to know how the young couple met, which happened in poetry class. Louis wants to be a painter, whereas Kim has literature as her major and wants to be a writer. Gina makes a joke about how this combination sounds like a recipe for poverty, which slightly bothers Kim. Gina continues to boast about all the brilliant designs Dylan makes for buildings and all the money it brings into their family. Gina and Dylan complain about how the younger kids, Jack and Susie, tire them out every day. Dylan and Gina leave the terrace to receive their delivery, and Louis is alone with Kim. She compliments how perfect his family is, and Louis smiles because he plans to propose to her soon. The paintings are here and get hung up all across the house. Louis has been having a hard time at school with his teachers criticizing his art. His parents, however, have built him an art studio within the house and hang the lion painting in it. Dylan suggests that maybe Dorian Wilder's creativity will inspire Louis, who observes the lion painting closely. That evening, Donna gets a call from her friend Betty, who asks about her plans today. Donna won't be going to the party because she wasn't invited. That's a shame because her crush will be there, who is allegedly dating someone else. In his art studio, Louis is deeply fascinated by the lion painting, which gives off a dangerous feel to him. Taking a deep look into the lion's rage-fueled eyes drives him to start painting in his art studio immediately. Dylan walks into the hallway and stops by the frog painting because it captivates him. Meanwhile, Gina is in their bedroom where the goat painting is placed right above their bed. She stares at it intensely after falling on the bed seductively. Dylan is still staring at the frogs when Gina calls him to the bedroom. He enters and notices the painting, and then his wife, who is sitting right underneath it on the bed. She seductively takes off her clothes and invites him toward her. He points out that it's the middle of the day and the kids are around, but she likes the challenge and the thrill. Donna's friend urges her to compete with the prettiest girl in their school to get her crush. Donna argues that she has other aspirations in life, such as studying hard and minding her own business. She sees no use in competing with people when you can't change yourself. But the snake painting speaks to her and enchants her to be extremely envious of her crush Bobby and the popular girl Tiffany's relationship. Mendale walks into a bar where the colleague of the deceased worker is drinking to numb his trauma. He brings up what happened to his friend last night, but the man wants to change the subject. But with a little poking, he shares how good of a person his deceased friend was. Mendale mentions the paintings, more specifically the pig one. The worker now remembers that his friend saw it right before he went insane. Mendale insinuates that it was about gluttony, but the man shuts him up. He's here to mourn his friend, not entertain conspiracy theories. Kim looks up Dorian Wilder on the internet. She doesn't find much except for the fact that he was a defeated artist. Louis responds that critics can't see real talent when the lion painting speaks to him. Louis is transported to his art class where a critic analyzes his paintings. He states that Louis' technique is fine, but his painting doesn't evoke anything because it lacks soul. It would take blood, sweat, and tears for Louis to make a masterpiece that's memorable and intrigues people. He humiliates and ridicules Louis to such an extent that he imagines a man killing the critic by stabbing him in the neck with a paintbrush. The man who just killed the critic is none other than Dorian Wilder. He confesses that he used blood, sweat, and tears to make his paintings, but they weren't necessarily his. He wets his paintbrush with the critic's blood and paints on Louis' face, teaching him to perceive every painting as a fight. Louis is brought back to reality by Kim, who has found some information about the paintings online. Louis feels strengthened and powerful after his experience, and is thrilled to paint Kim. She refuses because she's not a model, but he insists on taking her clothes off. She pushes him off once he speaks harshly to her and exits the room. As she's about to leave, she watches Louis growling like the lion positioned behind him. She barely recovers from Louis's antics when she runs into Donna. Donna is heading into town for a makeover and invites Kim to join her. Dylan has just finished with Gina, who seemed to be extraordinarily insatiable and wild today. She wants to go for more, but Dylan has to work now, so he leaves her in bed. Kim gets into the car with Donna when Louis finds her. He's very apologetic about his aggressiveness and claims that he lost control. He is about to pull out the ring he got for her from his pocket when Kim orders Donna to drive and leaves. Louis runs after her, but slams the ring to the ground when Dorian appears behind him. Dorian whispers in Louis' ear that he can find another subject for his paintings and doesn't need Kim. Dylan stares at the frog painting and feels it coming alive. Jack and Susie ask for Gina's permission to go over to the neighbors to play, but she refuses. Greed takes over Dylan, and he decides to cut off vegetation to make profits. Donna has totally transformed herself, and Kim heads to the gallery to look into those paintings. Mendale pushes Tess to give him the Wilsons' address and reiterates the dangers associated with those paintings. Tess doesn't pay heed to his theories, but Kim overhears it all and talks to Mendale. He updates her on how the whole family might be under the painting's influence, which is true. Gina is overcome by lust. Dylan is working in greed, Jack and Susie are under Sloth's influence, and Louis is affected by wrath. Gina fornicates with a beastly goat. Louis is taken back in time to witness how Dorian sold his soul to the devil. He made his canvases out of human skin, and now recruits Louis to help him out. A meeting with Mendale convinces Kim that he's crazy, so she runs back to the Wilson mansion. Gina is so aroused that she even sexualizes Donna, who has turned into the girl she felt inferior to. Louis looks for Kim, while Dylan has turned into a hungry, greedy, all-consuming toad. Once she's back, Kim finds her ring on the grass and enters the House of Horrors. Gina welcomes her and suggests having a girls' night. Donna reaches the party and imposes herself on Bobby, but he turns her down, and so Donna kills the girl she was jealous of. Meanwhile, Louis picks up a prostitute to use as his subject. Gina takes Kim to her room and pins her to the bed. Kim is raped by Dorian and the beastly goat in Gina's form. Louis takes the prostitute to his art studio. As she undresses to pose as his model, she hears the lion's growls. Donna drags her nemesis to her room, where she mutilates her body to take everything away from her that she wanted. Kim breaks herself free of Gina and finds a manic Donna, who has sewn the deceased girl's features to her body. She then runs to Dylan and the kids, who are all trapped inside their paintings. Louis paints the prostitute's body with her blood and slays her during this time. Gina escapes from the house and stumbles onto Mendale. She is relieved to see him and accepts that he was right. He informs her that the Wilsons' souls have been corrupted now. The only way to end all this is to burn the paintings. Mendale directs Kim to get Wrath from the garage, while he gets the rest of them from inside the house. Gina and Donna welcome Mendale, and he tries to exorcise Dorian out of their bodies, but he's not a demon, so this doesn't work. Kim is attacked by Louis when she tries to get her hands on Wrath. Gina leads Mendale to pride and instills the belief in him that he practices pride by considering himself superior to all the other sinners. Mendale is stuck inside the painting while Kim manages to burn Wrath. Louis snaps out of it and Dylan manages to break free. He stops Gina while Louis gets the paintings. Kim gets absorbed into lust, but Louis connects the paintings together. This leads to Mendale saving Kim from the devil. She travels through the paintings and rescues the kids too. This happens just before Louis burns all the paintings. Gina comes back to her senses, but she has already murdered Donna. The remaining members of the family rejoice and notice Mendale's rosary lying in the ashes of the paintings. Many days later, Gina is seen at Tess's gallery. All of her family members have returned to their old selves now. Their lives have resumed, while Gina has found solace in a hobby of drawing. She shows her recent sketch to Tess to get her insights on it. Tess compliments it and adds that it'll look even better as a painting. They both smile. The sketch has all the 7 animals of the 7 deadly sins drawn.